Hello and welcome to Security Scan. I am Vishal Dahiya, and this week we will talk about space technology and border management. India has a large and complex land border of more than 15,000 kilometers with 7 countries: Pakistan, China, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Bangladesh and Afghanistan. Now, this border is geographically diverse and passes through 17 states with difficult topography at several places. India also has a coastline of more than 7,500 kilometers. Now, there are several challenges faced by security forces in management of these border areas. Now, the government has identified areas for the use of space technology in improving border management. This will be implemented in 5 years to build capacity in border guarding forces to use space resources for security, operational planning, and border infrastructure development. ISRO will launch a satellite for exclusive use of Ministry of Home Affairs, and immediate needs of border guarding forces will be met by procurement of high-resolution imagery and hiring of bandwidth for communication. For more on this, we're joined by a distinguished panel of guests today. Let me start by introducing them to you, beginning with Mr. P Sinha, former IG of the BSF, one of the forces which guards this long border which India has. Then we also have with us Mr. Anil Chowdhry, former Secretary of Internal Security from the Ministry of Home Affairs. We also have with us Mr. Ajey Lele, a senior fellow with IDSA. And we are also joined by Mr. Madhavan Nair, former chairman of ISRO from Thiruvananthapuram. Welcome all of you gentlemen to Rajya Sabha TV studios. Let me begin with you, Mr. Sinha. Since you've been with the force, let's try and start with identifying the areas of challenges when it comes to border management, because BSF is one of those prominent forces which is engaged in guarding those borders, and there are several issues which are faced by these forces on a daily basis.
Yes, as you know, the Border Security Force is guarding 2 frontier areas, one with Pakistan, which is case sensitive, and second is with Bangladesh. Now, in both the areas, the threats and challenges are unique and different from each other. But there are certain commonalities, whether it's Bangladesh border or the western border. Now, the problem is that the security threat in the 21st century is very dynamic now, and the security paradigm is shifting from day to day. So as said, the previous concept of border security and border management, where we used to go for a lateral type of deployment, is now different. The threat today is from terrorism. You have seen that we had that Uri carnage, and from Samba sector and other sectors we had a problem with Pathankot and also Gurdaspur. So this is a very perennial problem. And while the borders on the Pakistan side have been fenced and electrified, still there are certain vulnerable areas of where our rivers enter Pakistan, and floods in that river washes away your fences also. Now, those are the areas which are vulnerable, and the threat is from there.
Okay.
And the second threat is infiltration. You must have seen in Kashmir, as also area, there is a constant infiltration tactics by Pakistan that is on the western front. These are the 2 major threats and vulnerabilities of unfenced areas are there.
Okay.
But as far as Bangladesh is concerned, we have threats of riverine and marshy areas. In Sundarban, which is entering your sea front in that area, most of that area is still undemarcated.
Okay.
Though we have a riverine as the center of river as our main boundary, but it is shifting. So that is a major issue in that area.
Okay.
And second is illegal migration. You must have seen this Assam problem. We have the Citizenship Amendment Bill, and a lot of hue and cry is being raised. So this illegal migration is still going on, despite the fencing which has come.
So every specific area has its own, topography, and based on that, there are challenges as well there. Mr. Chowdhry, one, I would say, would you concur with what Mr. Sinha is pointing out? Because there are, specific areas. Second is, there have been steps which have been taken in the past to try and strengthen our border management system per se. Where are we right now, specifically, when we talk about tackling those challenges?
Vishal, you have very aptly described the magnitude and the complexity of the problem of border management in India, given its size. We have been trying, we naturally focus attention on the borders with Pakistan because we have an unfriendly neighborhood, governed, ruled by the army, there is no democracy, and they have high stakes in keeping the J&K boiling so that they can enjoy all the benefits of comforts of life which they have been doing. So let us not think that it's going to end there. We have to build our own defenses in such a manner, as correctly pointed out by Mr. Sinha, that the infiltrations of enemy agents, including terrorists, does not take place. Easier said than done. It has to be a combination of technology and trained manpower. Machine alone will not deliver unless it is backed by manpower which knows what to look for, what to do. Third factor is it should have ground level, how to you detect it and then how do you neutralize it. So our preparedness all around, it's more on Pakistan side definitely, but as correctly pointed out, in Bangladesh, it is also illegal infiltration. And then don't forget our huge, I call it the soft belly of our borders, is the oceans, which was amply proved when 26/11 happened.
The coastline, around 7,500 kilometers.
Yeah, that's it. See, because that's almost totally unguarded. The first 2 kilometers left to the police who have nothing, next 5 kilometers left to the Coast Guard, and then the Indian Navy. So, you see, that is also another serious, but fortunately, that was the last strike. We have been taking steps, and on the borders in Pakistan, the terrain is rightly described as such that during the winter, the snow gets found, but then you see there are nalas, they dig deep. You see, now, so we'll come back to the space aspect. You see, it's all about intelligence. Actionable real-time intelligence, and broadly it's human intelligence and technical intelligence. So technical intelligence is image intelligence, communication intelligence, and also OSINT.
Okay. So technology comes in, into picture when we talk about having the right information at the right time. Mr. Lele, this is going to be an occasion wherein a dedicated satellite will be launched for the Ministry of Home Affairs, and this will help in border guarding forces as well. But we have been using technology for quite some time now in terms of our border management, as well as, there are remote sensing satellites as well, which give us pictures. And it has been, clearly pointed out how this particular technology was used during the surgical strikes as well. So it is indeed going to be a very, very important source of information and, the way it can help the border guarding forces.
Definitely. I think technology is actually a force multiplier as far as management of borders is concerned. As it was pointed out by Mr. Chowdhry, that intelligence is the per se most important aspect of it. Intelligence gathering can be done by various mechanisms, and satellite is one of the mechanisms. So one should not, at the outset only, I would like to make a statement that one should not get carried away that satellite will give you answers for every problem. Actually, how beautifully you use this technology, that is more important than the technology per se. That is the basic crux of the MHA task force report which has been published yesterday, where they have identified 4 to 5 areas where they are going to use technology. Now, what technologies they are going to use? They are going to use imagery technologies, they are going to use communication technologies, they are going to use navigational technologies. And they are going to use these technologies with additional applications like GIS. So essentially what they are planning to do in next 5 years, they have got a plan of short term, medium term and a long term. So what essentially they are going to do in next 5 years is create certain amount of a virtual border, what one can say. Because if you see the current debate which is happening in US because of the borders, there also nobody is depending 100% on satellite technology. People are asking to build a wall. So essentially, particularly for the terrain and topography and all weather problems regions of India, if you want 24/7 observation by using technology, then satellite technology definitely gives you additional inputs.
Okay.
And from that point of view, we should look at these technologies.
Okay, so there will be additional inputs. Let's bring in Mr. Madhavan Nair from Thiruvananthapuram, former chairman of ISRO. Mr. Nair, we're talking about how technology will help the border guarding forces. We would like to know in what context and in what terms will having a dedicated satellite for these border guarding forces help the border management, and those soldiers who are guarding the borders for us.
Well, the Earth observation system, that is IRA series of satellites, has been doing this job to a great extent in the past. We started with low resolution images, but today we have got a sub-meter class images available from the Indian satellites, which will be quite useful for any of these observations they are looking at the borders. But at the same time, I must point out, because of the limitation number of satellites in the orbit, the revisit is limited. We have to pre-program which areas we want to scan, and accordingly, maybe once in a day at best, we can get the pictures of this region. But if we want to have a more frequent revisit, we should have a constellation of such satellites, and also the night vision becomes important. Looking through the clouds is another difficult area. We have developed some radar satellites in the past, and that technology has to be perfected so that day and night observation, continuous observation will be possible. But if you want to lock onto some area and observe continuously, geostationary platform will have to be put to use. But the distance difference, 600 kilometers is what we use for the Earth observation. But if you go to 36,000 kilometers, the resolution suffers. So we have to have huge telescopes and the optics associated with that. We can have a better resolution from that. But once you have the geostationary platform, you can have a continuous observation of the borderline in specific pockets which you want, and so on. Then coming to the navigation system, by and large, the people are depending on the GPS, which is a global system operated by US. But to overcome this dependence, we have the Indian regional navigation system, which is made operational, and it is available. High precision position and timing signals are available from the satellites, which could be used by the security agencies. Communication is another vital area. Of course, we have got various satellites and working in different bands, and that is exclusively used for point-to-point communication or the messaging right across and so on. And in the recent past, we have launched the satellites for the Air Force and Navy, and also soon one more satellite will be in place for the use by all the agencies and so on. Those satellites are dedicated with specific band of frequencies which is operable by the defense sector, and it doesn't overlap with the civilian sector. So these are the areas in which ISRO has been concentrating, and technology is fairly mature. But the user will have to come out with how frequently you want to revisit area, what type of analysis you want to do, what type of transmission you want to take to the field units, and so on. So all this, once defined, it is possible to put a constellation of satellites to meet such requirements.
Okay, so there you have Mr. Sinha, Mr. Nair pointing out that technology is there at the disposal, and we have several satellites working as well, specifically when you talk about imagery or communication as well. But the user, the end user, and in this case, it will be border guarding forces like BSF will have to come with specific requirements. That this is the area we want to monitor, or this is what we want at this point in time. So how do you think this will work from an end user's perspective?
You see, a task force on border management was established, and in February 2018, and the BSF has given out a detailed plan as to how the borders need to be guarded. And in that, they have divided it into 3 phases. Now, there are two aspects of the user requirement. One is a real-time requirement. Say, for example, on the border, there is an infiltration, and you need real-time technology from satellite where you can find out where the people are. So, in the control room which needs to be established, we call it C3I.
Okay.
That is Command, Control, Communication and Intelligence. So, the Border Security Force is already on the job where through the GIS, that is Geographical Information System, we have set up a system from Delhi, from the force headquarters right up to the BOP level, which they call it, so that any intelligence or any tactical information which is coming can be immediately given to the border outpost. So, this the problem with the satellite which they are going to establish is, as Mr. Madhavan pointed out, that we need to have a constellation of satellites, otherwise the real-time information on tactical operations is an issue.
Okay.
So, this is what is there. The second thing which has been established is this is called the Decision Support System. The BSF already has a decision support system where the moment there is an action which is taking place, whether in Pakistan border or with Bangladesh, or the assessment of the commander at the control room can be given by the inputs which are coming in that.
Okay. So there is going to be a nice mix of technology as well as human interface as well.
One more thing I wish to point out, you see there are two things. We were building laser walls. There were also ground infrastructure system by optic cables which are lying down and thermal imaging system. Now these are at the ground level. So, but from satellite, these thermal images are probably because of the terrain. Say for example, when it's raining, when it's cloudy or a fog, there were limitations on this which has been tested out. About a week back, a pilot project is taking place at Jammu Samba sector, where, as I told you, unfenced area is being there. And this has to be integrated with the drone technology and the UAV.
Okay.
That is on this. Now, on the Brahmaputra river side, that is on Bangladesh, which is a massive illegal infiltration taking place. You know the Majuli Islands, which is nothing but there also in BSF has started making their own innovative measures to about 60 kilometers. So these are we have identified about 2,200 kilometers of the area where there are vulnerable areas and where technology is being used.
Can be utilized. Mr. Chowdhry, coming to that interface between technology and utilization of human resources, and when you say human intelligence as well, which you've been focusing time and again in our shows as well, how is, how is it possible that both these things can go hand in hand so that the end user can also make good use of the technological services provided by ISRO?
Vishal, see, there is no denying the fact that satellite and space technology can value add to our border management. There is no denying that fact. And ISRO's satellite capability is also known worldwide. Even foreign countries are asking ISRO to launch their satellites. They are paying for it. So we have the capability to launch, but that launching is one. Satellites are going around, whereas we need them to focus at particular vulnerable points. So how long can they remain stationary and real-time continuous flow of intelligence on the ground, which is there both ways?
So that is where Mr. Nair said a constellation of satellites would be required.
Now, constellation of satellites, not only that, I think technology also will have to be improved further. And you see, then yes, technology, everybody says it is a value addition. It will. But on the ground level, the challenges that the border guarding forces face, which Mr. Sinha has pointed out, are huge. According to me, keeping the population on the border on our side is also equally important. In this also, satellite imagery can help them by telling them what is the best time, what crops, where the rain, meteorological. So keep the people on the border happy on our side. So they act as our eyes and ears and prevent hostile infiltrations.
Okay, so both modes can go hand in hand.
And also, the use of the data, which is satellite data. You see, data research and data archiving and data analysis and real time. That's where the challenge is going to be. Technologically, I'm sure ISRO will be able to launch and will also be able to dedicate it. Yes, so far, initially, the ISRO was catering mainly to the defense forces.
Okay.
The internal security aspect has started receiving attention only very recently. And now I'm very happy that the task force of Ministry of Home Affairs, which looks after the internal security of the country, is getting its due.
Okay. Mr. Lele, I'll come to you, but before that, let me bring in Mr. Madhavan Nair as well. Mr. Nair, we're running short of time, but if we take concluding comments from you on the way forward you see as far as the use of space technology for issues and areas like border management is concerned, how do you see things moving from here onwards? Because there are challenges on both sides, technologically as well as the challenges for security forces.
It's a good starting point wherein this border security force have come out with a vision document. Definitely, the space segment could be addressed to by ISRO. 2 points I would like to make. One is integrating the ground observation from the radar as well as from the satellites. That becomes an important area where GIS and GPS technology will actually merge. Then regarding observing some points continuously, we have made a small beginning. A recent satellite carried a camera, which is not very fine one, but something like a tens of meters resolution, which is in the geostationary platform. So it can be focused on a particular area, it can be continuously observing. But we have to go much beyond. We have to improve the resolution of the platform. And also we have to merge with the radar imaging so that we can see through the clouds or mist and other things, and we can still capture this thing. Of course, this technology, some small efforts are there, but once you have a demand, this will get focused, and I'm sure it will come up. Certainly, the support from ISRO for all these activities are always available to the security agencies, and we will continue to provide the latest in the field, meeting the requirements of the forces.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Lele, you agree with what Mr. Nair is pointing out? Small but very significant step, and we can go ahead and build from on this from here onwards.
No, definitely, I entirely agree with what he's saying. In fact, if you want to have a 24/7 observation capability, it's not only the space technology per se, but you need to have a technology on ground where sensors will be put on ground. Now, the space technology could be used to identify and pick up the information from those sensors. That's what Mr. Nair was also making a mention, that you need to have radars, you need to have other technologies which is picking up the information from the ground also. So when you would require a 24/7 capability, satellites could be used for the communication purposes also.
Okay.
Other point which he had mentioned in his earlier intervention was having a geostationary satellite which will be there 24/7. Only issue is related with your resolution. But I think you need to have a judicious mix of various technologies. You can't say only one technology will help you. So you need to have sensor technologies which is there on the ground. You need to have applications like GIS which will give you better results, where you can incorporate 3D mapping, you can incorporate issues related to virtual reality. These are the 3 areas which are coming up very fast, and all Western countries, particularly the European borders in Mediterranean and all that. Because one must understand that the border problems for the islands as well as for the land borders are different. Okay. And if you look at this report, it is not only talking of a technology from a security perspective, it is talking of a technology from a development perspective also. How you require to increase the infrastructure on the borders. And I think requirement of increasing the infrastructure on borders, the correct assessment will come up with a satellite technology.
Okay.
Like what we are using in other parts of the country, satellite technology for management of roads and rails, etc. That also will help us for border management.
Okay. Mr. Chowdhry, before we end the program, concluding comments from you?
Yeah, correctly pointed out, synthesis of data generated by different technologies holds the key. But let me tell you, US has the best satellite imagery capability in the world, yet they missed out on Pokhran 2. They did. And the CIA director went to the committee and said, we knew they were fooling around, but we just missed it. Whereas in Narasimha Rao's time, when they tried to explode, they detected it and they also stopped him from doing it. But you see, there should be no complacency. Now we have satellite imagery, we have nothing to worry. The fellow has to be constantly monitoring that imagery and reporting it in the right quarters. That holds the key.
So technology is there, and as our experts are pointing out, that we will have to go ahead and keep on improving on the technology which we use, but also no complacency can be allowed to set in. And the way our border guarding forces are working to go ahead and manage the borders is going to be helped further by the technology which we provide them. We'll come back again next week with a different topic and different set of guests. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television.